I'm Ariana.
And my name's Ryan.
And this is
I Wear Grippy Socks.
She wears no strings, I wear grippy socks. She's in the psych ward, I'm in the detox.
A mental health podcast by two know-nothing millennials from a seriously non-clinical viewpoint.
This episode may contain graphic content, so please be advised.
And remember, thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for making back for another episode of I Wear Grippy Socks. We're excited to have you guys back as always. I feel like we say that every time, but it's still always a shock. But this week, we had a great week last weekend. I feel like I've been good. I don't know how you've been feeling this week, Ryan?
You know, I've had better weeks.
True.
I've had better weeks, if I'm being honest.
A little bumpy there.
Yeah.
But hopefully this coming in week will be a little bit better. I know we're midweek, but we are going to Disney this Friday, so that's exciting. That's very exciting.
That is true. I'm very optimistic. But yeah, I mean, to say that it was a good week would probably be a lie, I guess.
Understandable. I would say my week was maybe a little bit better than that.
Yeah. How was EDC?
It was great. It was really good. It was super good. Best EDC yet. Best one yet. But definitely, tired. I'm definitely feeling the repercussions of, going to a festival.
You
currently.
feel rejuvenated.
Yeah, a little bit.
No.
It doesn't help to be very quite open and transparent for the last 2 years of the festivals. I've always had my period, but I got my period afterwards, so it's very exciting for me.
Congrats.
But now I'm feeling the lag and the drag of that. So that is not very wonderful this week or the last 2 days. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I guess this is also maybe a good time also to mention so we want to bring back up our hygiene of our teeth. We haven't been doing as good, but we wanted to do another reminder. So we wanted to use this month as kind of like lets everyone get aware of your brushing your teeth. So I would say I've definitely improved than I had.
have not been doing good at all.
This weekend I did great. I brushed them every single day of the festival, so that was exciting.
Definitely, and when I was eating with Papa the other day, I bit and I feel like my nerves are starting to get exposed. Even in both of these back too.
That's not good.
I got to be very careful because one wrong bite and it just sends me into a tremendous amount of pain.
That's not good.
That's not good. I don't deal with pain well. As someone who's addicted to painkillers, I didn't feel pain for a long time, and I don't like it.
That totally makes sense. I can understand that. But hopefully we're going to get better. December's going to be our year. Hopefully you can maybe brush that away. Fingers crossed.
That's right.
I don't know. If not, hopefully you get an appointment soon. But we'll see. We'll see. So everyone stand by for December. But keep brushing your teeth, of course. We're trying to encourage that still. But we're out there still trying our best, but we're going to even do better in December. So we'll see.
That's right.
We also wanted to remind people that you guys should remember to get notifications for our podcast if you really like it.
Yes, please turn on notifications. Send the link to your grandma. I'm sure she would love me.
Maybe.
We're trying to add the video. Maybe this will have a video. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
We're
trying, for sure.
That is right. But yeah, because on today's episode, we want to talk a little bit about anxiety because I feel like it's been weighing on you heavily because you have been struggling to, I guess, text people back. A lot of your anxiety comes from that. Does that seem reasonable to say?
Yeah. I feel like I've been really, really wanting to do this episode or this podcast and kind of talk about it more. I feel like this is something that I struggle with the most, is my, texting. I know it sounds so remedial and so, I feel like it just frustrates me because when you think about, texting someone back, it seems so simple, right? It is the most simple thing to do, but for some reason, it does not matter who you are. I have problems with it. Well, I would say probably besides, my boyfriend. He's probably the only person that I really don't put, a second thought of texting back, to be honest. But everyone else, I don't mean to. I already want to start this also saying, anyone out there, if I have not responded to you, I'm so sorry. I truly is not something, I don't know what it is. Part of it, my sister, she struggles with answering the phone. She can't call anyone. I don't know if anyone else out there has that, same thing, but she couldn't call, the pizza guy for the longest time. I think she's a little better now because her jobs in the past and stuff have now made her, force her out of it, but, she's still, didn't like to call our grandparents. She didn't want to be the first one to, be on the phone. So I don't know, maybe that stems from there, but yeah, my anxiety, I would say I'm like a high functioning person with anxiety would probably be the best way I would describe myself. I'm constantly like just in my head for no reason, and especially the texting, like without a doubt, especially the texting.
Do you think that has to do with maybe, I guess, your dyslexia? Is that offensive to say?
No, there's definitely, I would say that's 100% associated with that as well, just because like I can't, in the texting specifically, obviously, like you're writing, and I know a lot of people out there, like when you text, you just use slang or like you abbreviate or like whatever. I just, one, I can't spell. And sometimes, okay, if anyone out there, have you ever been like, you, even when like your autocorrect can't figure out what you're trying to type is the most frustrating thing
not a good
in the
look.
freaking world.
That sucker's pretty good too.
Right? And so it's like always like if this freaking thing can't even like decode what I'm trying to say, it gets super like, so that's frustrating. And then the other part is that I feel like people can't understand how you feel about something. Like, you mean like okay can be like okay,
Right,
okay,
right.
okay, like okay, like you know what I mean, like that is so many. So like how does anyone decode that? Like I never want to hurt anyone's feelings. This is my, I feel like my other problem is like I just don't, I don't want to like, I don't want them to think I'm being a bitch. And now, though, I become a bitch because
100%.
I don't respond.
That's worse than not. That's worse than.
I know, the not responding. And that's
100%.
like, and then I'll spend like hours and days, weeks. Like, I'm so sorry, there's a couple people there. I've been trying to text you back. I truly been trying to text you back. And today will be the day because I feel like this is the push I need, like we're talking about it. So, like, my plan after this is to go sit down and like, just try to respond to everyone. And I've been trying to like think that in my mind, maybe if I like set even like, 2 to 3 days a week to just respond to everyone. And so I'm going to try. But then you also get guilty because I know people out there like they'll see you scrolling on like
100%
online on Facebook.
It's like they know that you're
on your phone.
It's like what? Yeah.
And it's like, so then I freak out about that because then I'm in turn like, people are going to know. And then I think that's also stopped me truly from posting this last like year. If you look like on my Instagram, my last photo I posted was literally from Halloween last year.
That's so funny.
So, yeah.
I feel like I normally text people back for the most part. And even, they changed it though too, like, because on TikTok, people used to be able to message me even if I didn't follow them. But then I tried to respond to every message, and now they changed it, and it's like, it kind of sucks because, people would reach out like, hey, like, this happened. I'm celebrating this. I'm celebrating that. But every time, like, I always think of that Key and Peele skit I showed you guys when they're texting. It's like two friends texting, and they're just, like, having such a miscommunication on, like, what they're actually saying. Like, they're talking about going to the bar, and the one guy's like, you want to go? And the guy's like, you want to go? He's, like, ready to fight his friend. And it's all because they're just, like... the text
you can't
is
tell.
being like
misread. It's the same exact words, just felt different.
I think it's funny though that because before you had ever met, it never even like occurred to me that like someone might even misinterpret my message as to it's
something
never
else.
even occurred to me that would be. I'm sure there's like what the fuck, and it's like and I think the word like even trying to joke over texting is like because you don't know the
the
so
tone
hard.
like sometimes you can be a little your joke
it's like you either
you don't know.
It's either a good joke or you just like it's like what
what did they say?
Is this like person a murderer?
like what? A little too far. But in the person, if you were there, it would have been like, oh, this was like a smooth, like good line. So that's
exactly.
why, it's too complicated to really like actually know what people are feeling in a text.
Right.
And I hate that. I saw this thing though. I saw that like millennials and Gen Z though, where more people have been using emojis to get that point across, and I feel like I never use emojis.
It's weird. I feel like I like adapt how I maybe talk with like depending on who, because I used to never. I was one of those people like I wouldn't use correct grammar. Like I knew correct grammar, I just wouldn't use it. And then I feel like there was like that weird shift where it was like everyone became like super obsessed with like. It was like if you got an argument with somebody and they like messed up a word, it was like, I'm just gonna like
this makes me so mad.
I'm just gonna attack you for
the motherfucking yours. I'm sorry
Yeah.
for my language, but that makes me so mad. Like I hate the yours. Like like, this does not mean I am not educated. Don't get me wrong. I know that's not maybe a great thing, that I might not know which apostrophe goes where, or the you are, or the whatever crap's out there. But like, oh my God, that I know the type of person you are, because definitely I was attacked several times for that. I'm like,
I don't do it anymore.
That's good. And I feel like more people need to realize that. Like, you can't be out there throwing people's grammars under the bus, because some of us we are fully trying. We are 100. But you know what? Now it's changed my life. So in this last, like, 2 years, they came out. If you're out there and you struggle just like me, and maybe you don't want this, but Grammarly, if you've ever heard of it, it's like, I love Grammarly. It's on my phone now, so it's like a little bittersweet, because now I feel like sometimes I feel so proper. Like, when I text my friends, like, I always like go through. I'll always click through the Grammarly and make sure like it all looks. Now
Sound
I have
like you're writing like the
commas,
Constitution
exclamation
or something.
points.
Oh,
Yeah.
tally ho, old chap.
Like, what words, what vocabulary can I change to make it sound fluffy?
See, that just to me seems like it'd be like kind of, I don't know. I feel like I have to have a level of like informal. Like, a lot of times if I'm typing or write, I won't use commas. I won't capitalize the I or whatever. And I just like, to me, I'm like, if you can get your point across, like, why does it matter ultimately?
I know, but I think it's because, though, I've been so scarred for so long. So many people out there were
yeah.
like,
That's,
literally, we're anything,
yeah.
and then right afterwards, when you're done wrong, when they send it, they correct it, and then they put the asterisk next to it. It was like,
that was all. Yeah, that was all you had to. Yeah, back in the day, it was just like that was the nail in the coffin.
Yes, it doesn't
like, damn, you don't know which dare to use. It's like, jackass.
Literally scarred for the rest of my life.
Is invalid.
Yes. It's I definitely will forever, like, texting is not texting, and that's the same thing even with captions, though. Like, when you're captioning anything, even words. So actually, people, if you probably ever hear from us, if anyone ever responds, you're probably talking to Ryan, to be quite honest.
100%. All right.
He responds to everyone. I get a lot of stress around that. Like, I mean, like, obviously, as you can tell. So most of the time when he's responding, he's out there. He's amazing. He can actually spell, guys. So you should, for the most time, have something correctly spelled. If it's wrongly spelled, it's probably me. So
I think it's funny. Well, I picked up this book recently, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, and I have been learning, I feel like, lots about anxiety and depression, because I would say that a big reason that I abused narcotics for so long was really, obviously an anxiety and depression thing. I think that, because I've really started drinking in high school, and I think it was just like the social anxiety. And I think it really just stems, from not feeling good enough, or not, having like a low self-esteem and feeling like people won't like you. Mm-hmm. And then you can like blame the alcohol. And, because I was bad off on Xanax for a pretty good while. I don't know if you've ever taken Xanax, but I can assure you, you do not feel any anxiety. And I think it's hard now. Like, now, after you've done that, I mean, you always want, after you abused it, it's like, now that I'm like trying to go through life without abusing, I guess, Xanax or other narcotics, it's been difficult. But my favorite monk off of TikTok, like, venerable Tri Dao. I don't know, I butchered that.
Sounds right.
I don't even really like to talk about Buddhism and things like that, somewhat because I don't want to sound like a cultural or appropriator, a cultural appropriator. But I would say that studying Buddhism has been extremely beneficial to my life in terms of depression and anxiety.
I feel like I haven't ever really like dove into anything outside of, I would say, like, I guess, so, like, social norms. I feel like it is, I guess, sort of, I guess you get a lot of, like you were saying, surface level, Buddhism kind of stuff. But I've never personally actually like dived into much about it, really.
Right.
I feel like.
Well, I mean, I would say one of my favorite people, and I've played lectures for you, and he calls himself a spiritual entertainer, and it's like, he studied the shit for a long time, and then it's kind of like, regurgitating the info to like a Western audience, my man Alan Watts. So I wouldn't say that I necessarily have like a a very good understanding of it. But I mean, like I wrote down, so like for Zen Buddhism, it's about accepting the present moment exactly as it is. And basically it's the Four Noble Truths are that life has inevitable suffering, there is a cause to our suffering, there is an end to suffering, and the end to suffering is contained within the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is the right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness. So I think that one of the reasons I don't really talk about Buddhism a lot is because I feel like I learned a lot about this stuff and then like completely disregarded it, if that makes sense. So it feels like kind of phony, but I'm trying to like get back to that. And like as far as, you know, like the texting and stuff with the anxiety in the book, they're talking about, okay, like one of the issues is like catastrophizing. So like being realistic about the probability of like bad things happening. I don't know if you ever do that. I think they call it catastrophizing.
Hell yeah.
Where it's like you just feel like, you know, the world is gonna end no matter what. I don't know if you ever experienced.
100%. Actually, I did write something as down as well I was gonna bring up too, and even like some of these points, and I feel like that's 100%. It's like when you get into a scenario, like I had a bullet point, you know, like in every situation, in the worst scenario is your biggest thought. Like, so, you know, you go into whatever you're going into, and you're like, holy fuck, like whatever, this is gonna be the worst thing that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like you automatically can like view the situation, and I feel like you automatically go to the darkest place, and it's like this is absolutely insane. Like that's like it's not even rational what you're thinking at times, but then you're sitting there and you're like, oh my god, like it's gonna happen, or this is gonna happen. It's like
and then I feel guilty because you see all this stuff about like manifesting, and then you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna manifest like this terrible thing happening. Like
yeah, like I don't want to say it out loud, but now I've already thought about it, so now it's gonna happen, and then you start on that like freaking downward spiral just in your head, and it's definitely, it gets toxic. 100% toxic.
And I think too, like, and I know that the present moment is the only thing that exists. Like I know this for 100, you know, I mean, it's obvious. The past and the future only exists as thoughts within our mind. And like it, even knowing that that's true, it is still so difficult to not like just fixate on what can go wrong. And like, it's like, what is this person thinking? You know, I feel like there's been times I've been learning about all the different types of like toxic thinking, you know, and there's like mind reading. It's like you think that this person is thinking this, or like all or nothing thinking is another one. Like if I haven't been to the gym in 3 months, then there's no point in me ever going to the gym again for the rest of my life. Yeah. You know, and I feel like as like a drug addict, I don't know if maybe that's just, I think that all or nothing is a big one that I have to look out for.
You struggle with it. I could see that. Yeah, like that definitely. I don't know. I feel like maybe that one's not as bad for me because I feel like I maybe because also I've had so many struggles in the past. It's like I've known I can do better. You know what I mean? Like I have that like mindset, like I will change, but like everything else I would like 100% like that negativity, the like as soon as walking into a scenario, naturally beating yourself up. Exactly what you said before is the same thing with texting. I mean, you are thinking the worst thing that person, and they just want to know if you want to go to lunch next week because they like you, and they, you know, or like you met someone great. Like shout out to the girl I met at your brother's wedding. I'm gonna text you back. I promise. I really am.
Jennifer.
yeah. But we're, you know, but I totally get that, and it's like, you know, I met this wonderful new friend that I really like her, and I'm super excited to get to know her, but like I'm terrified she's gonna judge me, and it's so stupid.
I know.
And it's like she's probably great. She's probably an awesome woman, and I'm just sitting here being an idiot, and I can't text her back for.
I think I've always struggled just super deeply with like wanting other people's approval, you know, to the point where it becomes like paralyzing. Yeah. It's like, you know, I'm trying to learn, you know, another thing in the book, like to use like preferential statements. Like I would prefer if people liked me, but I will be okay if they don't, you know?
Yeah. I feel like the words definitely can have a big impact, because as soon as, like you said, I feel like earlier, as soon as you bring it into almost that existence, You know what I mean? So it's how you set it up in a phrase, or like, I'm not gonna, I will eventually achieve it versus, I don't know, like the words are 100%
Right.
very, I feel like, effective. And I will say they are definitely for me 100%, like how I set things up in my mindset, especially in this last like year. And I feel like changing around my mindset, I feel like that has been a big thing, is just rephrasing a sentence, like re-looking at it and being like, no, that didn't sound right, or that didn't feel right. It's like I need to look at it in a different way, say it in a different way. It has a different meaning. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta like dissect it. Not all the way sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. It's hard.
Right.
Do we staying on that surface level, or like going further? You don't want to overthink, but you don't want to just always remain on surface level. So I feel like it's that push and
Right.
pull. It's absolutely that push and pull.
I think I'm bad. I'll get caught up in my thoughts. I think our brain, in a sense, is the enemy sometimes, because we identify with the thought going on inside of our head, and that isn't. I don't believe that we are the thoughts that we are thinking. I believe that we are the one observing the thoughts. So I'm bad. You're trying to live. It just the brain. It's just
Brain goes.
the brain.
Well, no, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I had another thing. It was like, so you're consumed by every mistake you make by beating yourself up over and over about it. And I swear to you, actually, when we were at the festival this weekend, right? I'm at the festival this weekend, and I once again, my texting back is like one of my number one anxiety issues. I'm having a great time. We're having a wonderful time, and then every once in a while, it would be like, holy fuck, I didn't text that person. Like, you know what I mean? Like instantly, like it goes to that moment, or you reminded, like you instantly have this like flashback to that specific moment where you might have messed up, or you have anxiety around something, and you can be not doing anything. You know what I mean? It comes out of nowhere, and it just like, hits you, and you're just like, you get paralyzed almost momentarily with that like fear, it feels like at times.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, like that is seriously, I think, my hardest thing that I personally like struggle with as well, that part of the anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, cause then it becomes that terrible cycle of just like tearing yourself down, because you're like, I should have done better, I couldn't do better, I am better, like,
Right.
and so it's definitely hard. I think anxiety,
I think a lot of my anxiety stems from like, ultimately I've done a lot of not so great things in my life, and instead of trying to realize that they are mistakes that we could go from, I feel like internally I can't allow myself to like move past, I'm like, I've done bad things, I'm a bad person, I don't deserve good things. I feel like everybody, they can see through they can, and I just don't think I don't think I feel good about myself in many ways.
and I'm with you, and that's why I feel like it's so important that we like the rethinking your statements, reworking the words. I feel like that's the hardest, is obviously the hardest part, and the most scariest part, I think, out there when you're in your mind, in your head, is like, how do you restate this statement? You mean, like, if I'm obviously going to be thinking these thoughts, and these thoughts are something that are prevalent, and they're like internally eating me up, like, how do I turn it around? How do I change from the negativity? How do I get better? And the things we struggle with, it's not like these things are like, they just happened yesterday. It's generally something that's like eating away at you. And I don't know. I feel like, at least for sure for me, and I feel like sort of for you too, it's like that's, finding that kind of happiness in those small little each problem that has occurred, like how to view it on a, because then you also get guilty that if you're looking at it too happily, or like, then you're wrong for looking at it that way. And like,
it's almost like, because I feel like, especially because I talk very openly about, some of the things that I've done, and I feel like it's even on like TikTok or whatever, or social media, I feel like a lot of times people are trying to make themselves like look as good as possible. And I'm like, okay, I'll tell you I'll tell you what I've struggled with, and this and that. And I think that like, now that I even have like a decent it's just weird. I have a decent amount of followers. Okay. I'm like, who's watching these like, I'll go out and I'll be like, if this person has seen, and then they're going to be thinking this about me.
Well,
and
I
they
think
just like
the perception, and I think that also, like, a lot of people with the anxiety, and maybe I feel like the texting, and even on the social media anxieties, like, we also put, sometimes what's scary is putting also like one like one persona out there online, you know what I mean? Like, especially, like we always post what we want people to see of us. And I know sometimes obviously you get a little bit deeper and more in the connections, but people are obviously like, they read text message or they look at something, they're going to interpretate it a way different way than, you know what I mean, like you do, or the way you view it, and that sometimes is like the scariest part. It's because maybe you didn't mean it that way, or it wasn't necessarily that form, or you know what I mean, people make assumptions over something, and I know 100% something that I feel like I watch you, have seen you sort of, battle and struggle with, is even, your the way you cope with things is also so different. Well, not different, but just a different way of coping. Like you cope very with comedy and laughs and enjoyment from others, and that's what you thrive off, and I feel like that's where you feel comfortable at times, but it's also sometimes can be your scariest spot. But like I feel like that is sometimes people read that hard when you're not coming with raw emotions, and you're processing with,
they think that you're not taking something seriously, or that you don't care about something. It's like, I mean, I just don't get it. It's like you could sit here and be in your feels about, and we can't change anything that has happened. I'm like, obviously, I think that you can joke about things and still take them seriously and like try to do better moving forward.
Yeah, I think there's two, I mean, it can be double, ended, if you spend too much, if you're looking at it laughing too often because you're trying to make a joke out of it, but that's the way you're coping, or if you're sitting around and you're crying, you constantly can't stop crying, people are still going to judge you on both ends. You mean, they'll be like, you got to stop crying, you got to suck it up and get to it, or you're going to be like, oh, take it more serious, you're not taking it serious enough. And and at the end of the day, it's about how you process it. It's about whatever you're going through, and you're like,
Right.
It's so difficult, because once again we have these society pressures of like, what is the right grieving, what is the proper grieving, or like not grieving, or like how to process whatever you're going through. Like there has to be a specific way you have to do it, and it's like, each person has such a different way of processing emotions. Like, my thing is to just ignore it, which is obviously not good whatsoever. Like, that's my trigger, is I just ignore the world. Like I just shut down, like my wall. If I don't think of, if it's not there in front of me, like, who gives a who?
Out of sight, out of mind.
100%. And obviously that's not the way to deal with things either. But you know what I mean? Like, so we all process so freaking differently when we have, I feel like, whatever we find like upsetting or whatever to us. So I don't know. It's anxiety, and I feel like all that stuff. It's tough.
It really is tough. Weird. That's why in my book, though, I'm learning that we must confront our fears head on. So for you must text people back.
Yes.
For me, I have to just not care what people think. Well, we're both kind of in the same situation, but yours has to do with like your writing specifically.
Yeah,
like,
it's anything with writing really in general is my problem.
We need to learn that we are a-okay.
Yeah, perfectly
just
imperfect.
How we are, and if people don't like it, please. Come on, guys, please like me.
Be our friend. No, we're just trying to do our best, for sure. I think that's, at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for, is like, hopefully you can do your best. And I'm trying to get better. Like, I'm going to try to set up routines, same like the brushing the teeth. And like, I want to try to maybe set up like days a week that I like text people back, be like, all right, my, Wednesdays and Saturdays or a thing or whatever. I don't know. I've tried that in the past, and I feel like my problem is like trying to stick to something. Obviously, that's my next like also thing I gotta conquer, is just being able to stick with it. You know what I mean? You get really good the first couple days. You're like gung ho about it, and then, bleh.
Right.
It's
so about the consistency rather than just. I've seen some good quotes about like motivation. And it's like motivation is like BS. Like. It's about discipline. It's not like, like anyone can be motivated for like X amount of time. Yeah. It's really about like, and the good news is I have no discipline at all whatsoever. So
working on that. Hey, we're getting pretty good. We've disciplined by getting a podcast out every Wednesday.
That's right.
Small goals. You know what I mean? Like looking from where we came to where we are.
We've been on target so far with all the orders. We had a few. everyone who got an order, thank you very much. Obviously, we are at the inception. We're going to have new ideas coming.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to add a new mic to the podcast. We got big things on the horizon, people.
More guests will definitely be making appearances
That's
very
right.
soon. We're very excited about that. So you
That's
have to
right.
keep your ears listened out for that, and lots of maybe good holiday bundles. I also want to give a shout out to Ryan. He's also been really good. Our website is up. We're still working on it. It's getting better every day.
Trying.
Neither have done any of the kind of website design, so I will say he's done a phenomenal job, and we now have a shop on our website. So we're like we said, we're still learning. Exactly, we're still learning, but we're getting there, and it's super exciting. Hopefully, we're going to be up and running with a lot more ideas, some holiday stuff out there. We're really excited.
That's right.
To see what's hopefully is going to come in the future. So we just want to let you guys make sure you guys are checking our stuff out.
That's right. Thank you guys, though. Seriously, thank you guys so much. Not only for being here, but this really does help a lot. It helps me a lot to process things, to get things out to everyone. To hear feedback. It really is helpful, so thank you to everyone that is listening.
Thank you. I just want to tag on that. I know for sure I wanted to kind of also loop around again. This episode 2 feels so important to me because I feel like people that I promise I am trying my best, and I know I can do better. We all, you know what I mean? I'm gonna do better on the texting, but like he said, it does feel great to be able to people to hear this and listen. And if
if anyone needs Ariana, just text me.
Yeah, pretty much just text Ryan. Yeah, he'll get the message relayed, and we will get it back to you. I promise.
We'll get through it.
Exactly. But I hope you guys have a wonderful week coming up. If not, you got this. You got this. Just live. The goal is always to live and do your best.
That's right.
That's all we can ask for, right?
That's right.
So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us, and have a good one.
Thank you. Shit.